to what's new with 9.3.5 and the roadmap for Agile as it has been presented to the world, so to speak. So the agenda today will be go ahead and go through what's new with Agile 9.3.5 and what its roadmap direction is. We'll talk a little bit about how you might think about or some things you might consider in planning your PLM future. And then we'll open it up for questions if you have any. And again, as Jared indicated, please feel free to insert some questions into the chat window. And if I could ask everybody to mute themselves unless you are asking a question, that would be appreciated. Okay, so here we go. All right, so as originally announced in the early times of acquiring Agile, Oracle planned on releasing new releases of product every around every year. Since that, they've kind of opened up the span of time to every 10 to 15 months. The longest duration was between Agile 9.3.3 and 9.3.4, where it was that 15 months. Granted, there were large improvements and large functionality enhancements and things of that nature that came as part of 9.3.4. So, for a lot of people, that was time worth waiting for. So anyway, as you can see, from 2012 to just January of this year, they've kind of maintained to that commitment and to that intent. In this new release of Agile 9.3.5, it has primarily two main focuses. The first one is that around product portfolio management and rationalizing the product portfolio across multiple products in the ability to manage multiple programs and things of that nature. Also in the MCAD arena, relative to increasing the ability to manage designs and the processes surrounding those design approvals and things of that nature inside of Agile, where historically they've kind of like tagged along with the item record on the relationships tab, but not really having a true full-blown design release and review process. So we'll talk more about that as the presentation continues. So in the software, what is shipping is, of course, the core Agile PLM 9.3.5 product with auto view for Agile 21. You'll see how Agile 21 is very new. It's got many enhancements and things like that. In addition to that, OPLA 3.5 as well as EC 3.4, which includes this new product called Agile Explorer. We'll talk further about that. What's still coming is the EC for MCAD and ECAD for that's 3.5, as well as the PIPs for both EBS and SAP, as well as then Mobile 4 is still intending to coming out. So don't have a time frame on those, but I would assume that they would be coming out hopefully before the middle of the year. All right, so let's start out first of all with those aspects of product portfolio management that have been improved. So first off, the biggest thing is the multi-project Gantt view that can be utilized. So what this allows you to do is it allows you to view multiple projects in the Gantt view all at one time. So here you can see we've got a camera project to where when I pull up the camera program at the very last line item, it's comprised of three different projects. There's an accessories project, body process project, and a lens project. You can see that each one of them is independent. Oracle has has communicated that they did not want this to look like any kind of structure, for lack of better words, to where the camera program was almost like bill of material or child relationship, for lack of better words, to all three of these, but they are affiliated through an attribute on the cover or the general information tab of each program and project, as well as there is what's called a Gantt navigator that allows you to go ahead and add or remove any additional projects to the session that you're currently in. Now, what's important about this is, number one, you can get a larger view of how things are happening and project status. But additionally, if there are inter-project relationships or dependencies that exist, for example, between the camera body and the camera lens, then you can draw those and create those dependencies here in the Gantt view, where before the only way you were able to do that was to identify them in the dependencies tab of the project, and that's about the only place where you'd be able to see and understand those interrelationships. So this allows you to have more visibility to inter-project dependencies, as well as view the schedule across an entire program that includes multiple projects. I mentioned the multi-project navigator that helps to facilitate that. With this, you're able to lock, unlock different programs and projects depending upon what you're viewing. Now, additionally, in addition to the multi-Gantt view, multi-project Gantt view, you're able to, filters were added to the Gantt project view so that you could, because there's more content now that is being displayed on the Gantt view, you're able to now filter that information down to a subset of activities or information that you're interested in looking at. You're able to utilize and create these custom filters and choose any attribute that happens to be on the Gantt view. So the attributes here on the left-hand side are what you're able to choose from. Those that are familiar, there are several different attributes that can be used. So for example here, if I create this custom filter where I have name starts with define, okay, and I hit apply, what I get is the result of these two tasks actually, define project and define project for both the lens and accessories. But what it does is it creates the tree all the way from the project level to the specific task that particular filter comprised of, so that you understand the breadcrumb or the trail that arrived you at that particular filtered content. All right. In addition to custom filters, there are 5 built-in filters that are used. They're primarily focused upon resources and allocation of those resources. As you can see, they're displayed here in the center of the screen. What this does is this allows you then to understand the resource loading and resource allocation of things. One key thing to interpret and understand, and I'll speak to it further here as we go into this next slide, is that Agile is not going to resource level your project. What it's doing is it's going to give you tools and the ability to understand what that resource loading looks like, so that then you can choose what is the best method and way in order to balance that those particular resources. So here, if I look at a particular resource page, I've got several things that I can look at. Number one, I've identified the fact that I've got these different days effort over here on my particular phase 5 NPIT debrief activity, okay, right here. And you can see the day's effort. But for manufacturing, which is what I've got my highlighted row here, I can see that I'm way over allocated. So I can see that for the projects that I have in my Gantt view, I can see that they are each at 50%, but what this does is this actually goes out and pulls that manufacturing resource from all other projects on the server, pulls that in and says, hey, you're okay probably on this camera program, but you've got other projects out there that are eating up 220% of the allocation, making it a grand total of 370% allocation for manufacturing. And then you can go ahead and adjust your resources and adjust the schedule of the activities and things like that for those projects and activities that are in the Gantt view, but that still leaves a problem that you need to address for the other 220% of allocation for manufacturing on projects that are not visible to you in the Gantt view. So again, it provides you visibility and understanding of where I am allocation-wise, but yet it's not going to force the allocation of a project. Also, when you're looking at this, it puts the red line showing the 100% allocation mark, because depending upon what percentage of allocation you are over 100%, that can kind of get lost to the naked eye. So there's a line that's automatically drawn there. So again, assistance in understanding from a resource balancing perspective of your resources across the many programs and projects and activities you've got going. In addition to the multi-project Gantt and the filters, there's also a comparative Gantt. Historically, Agile has only provided the ability to compare against a baselined project. What the new improved comparative Gantt does is it actually allows you to compare it against you can do what-if scenarios, for lack of better words. I can make all kinds of adjustments, and as long as I have not saved that to the server, I can do a comparative Gantt, and it will pull the data from the server and do that comparison to see whether or not I like how that's going to turn out or what. But I'm able to do sort of like a work in process comparative scenario, so that I can decide whether or not I want to move forward with this readjustment of my timing and or alignment of tasks or what have you. So improved comparative Gantt functionality. All right, moving on to the engineering collaboration perspective or improvement areas. A couple things. The biggest thing is that in Agile now, there is a design file change order. All right, it's a new subclass under the change order, under the changes, and what it does is it allows you to identify now whether or not you are going to have, when you create a change order, when you create a change subclass, you identify whether or not you're going to have an affected files tab or an affected items tab. You cannot have both, and it's subclass dependent. So if you're going to have this design file change order, then it would be a specific affected files tab versus the affected items. What this does is this allows you to stick on a change order, the design, maybe prior to, the key thing is doing some early advanced design work. You're able to route and approve the design of an assembly. For example, in this assembly, we've got this front bucket assembly, and you've got different pieces of it. I want to go ahead and approve this design before I, for example, publish part numbers. I want to make sure that my design looks solid and good and all that kind of stuff. And in addition to that, let me back up. So before, historically, we've only, in Agile, there's only been the routing slip that has facilitated any kind of quote-unquote attachment and file approval. But that limited you to one design per approval cycle. What this allows you to do is bring in all the design records and all the design objects for that entire assembly on one change order and actually route it for approval. Now, a couple things that I want to mention here about this capability and functionality is that you'll see that there's a folder owner here, so that can be masked to separate privileges for that individual that may be on that line item, so that they are the only ones that are able to do things relative to that particular design that folder owner is associated to. Likewise, there is it's kind of cut off on there on the right, this change sequence. This allows you to set the sequence for the changes to be applied. You'll see that on the next slide, when we do a change order, we want to go ahead and you'll see that change sequence can be identified and formatted as part of the revision level that you're proposing. So, design file change order. So here we go. So on that particular design, okay, on a particular design, up here in the version, as I mentioned earlier, that change sequence value can be presented. It's a configuration choice that you may or may not want to include, but it can be there. And as you can see on the design, there now is a changes tab, which will then articulate the change number for that design file change order. Okay, here's just a very simple little design of maybe the use case that can be utilized. So everything in green except for this send to manager for review. Sorry, that accidentally got put into green. Can be done in the ECAD solution, right? So whatever authoring tool you have, whether it be SolidWorks, Inventor, AutoCAD, whatever it is, you basically create the model and you can get the reserving of a part number or item number. You can create your change order and incorporate these files. And one thing I wanted to mention is relative to incorporating the files, when I come back to here, as the review happens, you can see down here underneath that table, when somebody reviews it and, for lack of better words, incorporates it, you can see how many files there are in total and how many of them have been incorporated. So in other words, how many have gone through the review cycle and been, for lack of better words, reviewed and incorporated. All right, so sorry, I just wanted to bounce back to that to show that. All right, so we create our change order and incorporate files. We send it off to the manager for review, which they have to do in Agile. Let's just say no, that they're not complete, so we bounce it back out. We go ahead and add a new attachment or red lines and unincorporate and change it and send it back to the engineer. The engineer does his affected items, in this authoring tool. But then again, jumping back through the EC connector, they check out and alter the CAD file, they check it back in, incorporate it back, send it back to the manager for review. Then the manager can go ahead and compare what his requested alterations or changes might be to that of the particular CAD engineer, and then complete it, and then it gets released. So a very simple design release process, but as you can see, a lot of it is handled outside of the quote-unquote bouncing back and forth into Agile, into the design system, Agile design system. A lot of it is handled via the engineering collaboration connector. All right, so some other improvements here is the fact that, number one, with MCAD 3.5, it's intended to have a performance improvement for more than up to 40% depending upon the data. These are very, improved improvements, large improvements, so that, people are not, waiting and waiting and waiting for the load. The database has been improved with additional indexes and tables and things of that nature, as well as, of course, the program itself for performance improvements. There's an option to eliminate the load preview step. So if you are familiar with the CAD connector, when you go to load a particular model, there is a load preview window or option that now can be turned off if you choose not to do that. You can just load straight into your CAD authoring tool and bypass the particular load preview step. There's more intelligent save options, and as well as enhanced and broader CAD version supports. In addition to that, there's been with auto view, particularly in the upper right, you can see that there is there's been a lot of asking for some more manufacturing type presentations and abilities for AutoView to be able to support. I believe a lot of these things are called model-based enterprise views, to where it supports maybe manufacturing steps or dimensions and things like that called out, so that it's almost like a 2D drawing, but yet it's a particular view that is created inside of the CAD system, but yet not able to be seen inside of AutoView. Those are now available and presentable. In addition to that, for these, so that's the second bullet, are these Creo combined views and inventor view representations. In addition to that, with Mobile 4, the ability to view 3D CAD models is there, and you'll be able to view and render those on your particular mobile devices. All right, this new utility, for lack of better words, that Perception Software has bundled with the ECAD 3.4 release is called Agile Explorer. It's a searching mechanism, so that if you are searching for specific components or things like that, again, thinking Agile is your component library, you can certainly use the Agile search. But of course, it's sometimes that can be a little bit clumsy or more difficult to use. The Perception created this Agile Explorer, which searches items, so it can search parts and documents. No other objects other than those two, but it's a very simple and quick searching engine that is bundled and shipped with the ECAD 3.4 release. Again, it comes as part of the EC licensing, so if you've got the EC server license, then you are entitled to this particular utility. So, in summary, I want to kind of summarize some of those things, some of those features that we've kind of highlighted already. You've got the large investment and improvement relative to the Gantt enhancements and the things that we talked about there, the filtering, modify privilege checks, the improvements to the task and assignment views, being able to manage the various resource balancing, resource allocation balancing, the comparative checks relative to what you might want to change it to what's stored on the project or on the server. We've got things relative to the design file release process, being able to go through a design release action, and there's something there to support that. In future versions, they're looking at being able to incorporate both items and designs, for lack of better words, on that design file change order. In addition to these two big things, we've got many enhancements relative to the engineering MCAD usability, load performances. I guess Cisco really put the pressure on Oracle Agile in order to increase the reference designator support. So they doubled it. They went from 5,000 to 10,000. Being able to support, the platform support, being able to handle latest OSs as well as latest versions of Java. In fact, if you go to install and upgrade Agile 9.3.5, it is only supported by Java 8. So your server needs to have Java 8 on it. It also will only work with Oracle Database 12. So they're keeping things up to date and bringing support for those things up to date, including the latest browsers. With relative to AutoView 21, they totally revamped the 3D engine, making it more quicker loading, quicker rendering, as well as being able to support the mobile viewing as well as different CAD views that some CAD authoring tools can provide, as well as then updating it for OPLA 3.5 for the schema updates to improve performance, and that will all be in the new capacity planning guide when OPLA 3.5 comes out. So, all right, now where can you go for information about all this? This is a blog page that has been set up. Bit.ly at No Agile, or Kno Agile, not No Agile, but K-N-O-W, Agile PLM. And on here you'll be able to see any new feature white papers, transfer information, videos, recordings, and things of that nature. Here's a picture of the web page that is available for all of this. From the conference, there, the last conference that they're starting to post a lot of the presentations. There's some documentation. It's a good resource for you if you want to understand and have access to a lot of different things for Agile PLM. Now, so Agile over the course of time, of course the right-hand side there with the list of additional features and capabilities that Agile has incorporated in the product over the last 5 years. Some have to drop off because there's not enough room to list them all, but anyways, these are more of the recent ones, those that have made the biggest impact, those that have been the most desirous to be, to have available by the customer base.
Unmuted.
So with all this, Agile continues to innovate and listen to its customer base. Sometimes not necessarily in the most timely of fashions, but nonetheless they're listening, and some things just take a while to eventually get there and get it incorporated in.
Jeff, can I interject for a second?
Sure.
With I had a couple of questions come in. They were both pretty good, and I don't recall it being hit there, but a couple people asked, they're using an earlier version, 9.3.3. Can they do a direct upgrade to 9.3.5?
Yes, there is an upgrade path from 9.3.3 to 9.3.5 without any problems. Yes.
Okay, good.
As well as I know that there are some that use a different adapter. Again, depending upon the version of Agile that you currently are on, the schema may have changed a little bit, and your adapter may have to be adjusted some, but for the most part it should not be significant. All right. If I can just get through some of these last couple slides, then we'll go ahead and address all the questions that are flowing in from the chat window.
Yeah, sorry for interrupting. Okay,
so no, that's no worries. That's fine. So the product deployment options here relative to Agile are, basically twofold, right? You can have, or I guess maybe three, whether that be you can have Agile PLM on-premise or hosted, or in the cloud, right? So those are the choices with Agile PLM. Now there's also the cloud offering that is strictly cloud only and is a I'll say a watered down version. It's primarily part or item management and change management up on the cloud. Both of these options, whether on-premise or strictly cloud, do work with and integrate with innovation management on the cloud, of which innovation management is only available on the cloud, and there's no intent of bringing that outside of the cloud. But the innovation management here in just a second, you'll see, comprises of three main things, right? Ideas, opportunities, and something else. We'll see it. So the Agile product family continues to interact with innovation management no matter which solution you choose to go with. So here's the roadmap with what has been released and what we've kind of gone through in this slide presentation, primarily on the left side. I mentioned the item attachment release and customer requested enhancements. Outside of that, it's very vague. Oracle is very tight-lipped. But that's what they're willing to share. So there's your roadmap. Now, planning for your future. Okay, everybody wishes they had the crystal ball, right? But the best you can do is take the information you've got and move forward. So when you're planning for the future, whether you're new to Agile, not using Agile, or you've had an Agile installation for quite some time, you may or may not still have some semblance of this particular current environment slide, right? I mean, everybody has seen this thing, right? Some of you may, understand that, the value of having a consolidated, integrated solution, having an integrated, innovative framework by which information is communicated, captured, and executed on across the enterprise, the value that brings and the money that it saves from an overall company perspective and product delivery. Basically a single version of the truth. Well, Agile started out with the fundamental elements of part and document management relative to attachments, manufacture parts, manufacturer, supplier, and a change management system. All right, great foundation. Some of you may still be in this particular spot right now. But as you plan for your future, understanding the spaghetti slide that we saw 2 or 3 slides back, that there are still areas out there that are still out of control, for lack of better words. Agile has extended its footprint to help address a lot of those particular areas, primarily in product quality. You've got compliance. You've got the product feedback from an ideas, requirements, and concepts area up here. This is that innovation management. You've got the planning of what's your portfolio like, what proposals are going to go forward, what kind of they turn into projects. So there's a whole footprint of extendability that the foundation that you started with on parts and documents can grow into, so that then you have a comprehensive product record that everybody is able to draw upon, understand, and know the pedigree of as time goes on. So I don't want to make it too simple, but there's a 3-step approach as you start planning your future, right? 1, find your most expensive problem, right? Pretty straightforward and simple, all right? Because if you find your most expensive problem, it's probably the one that's going to go ahead and save you the biggest return on investment that you got. Once you do that, put a plan in place that's going to span the design through commercialization. So don't just take care of the immediate problem, because that's putting a Band-Aid on it. Look at the solution from a design through commercialization, so through the entire process. Understand how that works, then align your users and organization to that vision, building trust, and utilizing what Agile has to offer in order to solve that problem. All right, Agile's footprint spans from design through commercialization, so I'm sure that there is a way of incorporating that into that single version of truth for the product. All right, so in closing, just just to remind you that there is a complete, Agile PLM is a complete PLM solution for whatever industry, right? It services multiple industries. It's got fully integratable capabilities. It's got, to ERP and CAD both. They're agnostic to both. So downstream and upstream solutions doesn't matter. The integration is agnostic and can be tailored to whatever CAD or ERP solution you have. It's modular in design so that you can then take that and deploy it to obtain quick wins and actually rapid deployments. So there you go. Whether or not you're an on-premise company, a cloud company, or some kind of hybrid, it doesn't matter. There is an Agile PLM solution that can meet your needs. So with that, I will open it up for questions and answers for the balance of the time.
Thanks so much, Jeff. I don't think I did you enough justice. Your knowledge of Agile is excellent. Very intelligent, man. We had several questions come in, so do we want to just start at the top here?
Sure. What do we got?
What devices are supported for mobile? Is it just iPads, or what do Android, Windows?
My understanding is that right now the Apple devices are clearly. I am not sure about the other ones with Mobile 4 that come out. That we would need to understand that from the deployment literature.
Okay. Now, by the way, these questions, if you've asked them and they're not, if you have further questions, feel free to chat them or send them via email, and we can get to them privately. But next is what vendors and versions are supported in EC MCAD 3.5?
You're pretty much your pretty standard ones. For the MCAD 3.5, you've got your AutoCAD, your PTC Windchill, you've got your Inventor, you've got your SolidWorks. Those are the standard four. If it's something outside of that, we would need to double check the documentation to see what's supported in that.
Okay. This person is currently running 9.3.1. He said, I see that the item on reach and conflict minerals, is this currently available only in Agile? Or currently available in Agile, I apologize.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understand the question, but the reach and conflict minerals are part of the compliance module. It is a method of managing those, compliance to those particular requirements. And yes, they are in Agile. I don't know what the statement of are they only available in Agile. I don't know what that means. But yes, they are available in Agile, and they are part of the compliance module, but yet depending upon how you're managing the compliance to those things, they can be managed outside of the compliance module, but still in Agile.
Okay. They just requested that you talk further on the connectors to engineering tools such as ANSYS, simulation tools.
No, there is no integration to simulation tools within Agile. It's primarily CAD authoring tools. So from a simulation perspective, those are not supported.
Okay. For Agile UI, is there an adapter for Oracle ADF UI? Did I ask that right? I apologize if I mess that up.
ADF UI, I'm not familiar with that, so
we'll look into that one then.
Okay, we'll follow up with that person.
Yeah. Let's see, what do we got now? Oh, this is a good one. Agile PLM cloud offering. Do you know much about that? When the release date would be?
No, I heard March. Okay, I heard R11 coming out in March, but that was not from the Oracle whatever central general availability scheduling people at all. I just heard that through the grapevine. So I've heard March, but I can't commit to that.
Okay. Let's see. Can we add Web Center as a content service and document service?
Web Center as a
content service.
Yeah. I would like. I am not familiar with that. We can certainly. I would schedule a call with that person with that question because I'm not quite sure I understand what they're asking.
Okay. We will follow up with that one then. Let's see. What about Siemens Solid Edge?
Yes, I believe that there is an integration. That part of the EC connector is with Siemens. Yes. Solid Edge. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I neglected that one from the 4 that I listed, so that makes 5.
Thank you, Jeff. Is Agile, does it tend to be frequently integrated with SAP?
As frequent as any other. Yeah, it's common. Agile to SAP, Agile to EBS, Agile to any other ERP solution. It all depends upon how the company wants to go ahead and link the two together. So yeah, if they have an SAP environment, then yes, it's a common interface.
Okay. Is there also a sandbox, a virtual area that they can learn how to use Agile 9.3.5?
No, there is no, for lack of better words, open to the community environment that anybody can log in and go through. That would need to be arranged, on a one-off situation and need perspective.
Is that something that people can arrange with you?
Yes, we can certainly arrange to have something like that set up. Just contact the domain cells, and we can, put something together.
Okay. Let's see, ChangeCast. Wondering if that's still available.
No, ChangeCast is no longer available. ChangeCast was decommissioned at Agile 9.3.2. It was the last release that incorporated ChangeCast. Since that time, we as domain, we have a replacement for that acts as ChangeCast, but is a ChangeCast replacement that puts you on the path of actually utilizing the Agile Content Services functionality within Agile and moves you, baby step-wise, so to speak, to, the full ACS incorporation for an adapter.
Okay. This person says, we don't use PPM or EC at this time. We do want PPM and are in the process of buying PPM from Oracle. We started on an upgrade to 9.3.4. Should we deploy PPM in 9.3.4 or wait to do it in 9.3.5?
It depends upon where you are within your, if you're just starting your upgrade to 9.3.4, yeah, you'd need to weigh out the technical differences if there are any. Again, not knowing what your technical stack is or your technical issues that you might have to overcome in order to go to 9.3.5. But if you're just starting, yeah, I would definitely consider going to 9.3.5 instead of 9.3.4. Especially since you're going to be deploying PPM, you get the additional, functionality that comes with 9.3.5.
Okay. This person was wondering if you could speak more to the upgrade effort from 9.3.1 in particular to 9.3.5. Like, what kind of differences, changes will they notice?
Well, certainly, I mean, I don't know what product suite that you're having, but certainly you would see some differences in, PPM and EC if those are the two that you're there, from a functionality perspective. Outside of that, it's going to be largely on the under the covers technical perspective. Certainly the operating system that is supported, it brings your tech stack up to date, for lack of better words. You're not. I don't know whether or not you're using the Agile Viewer much at all today, but you'll notice some difference, obviously, in the Agile Viewer from a load time perspective. There are some administrative things that would be different, more on the preferences and smart rule perspective. But in addition to that, some of the roles and privileges and ability to mask privileges and issue roles and privileges would be different. So there's some under the cover from the end user perspective. It's the same look and feel as to what you have today. But there are certainly bug fixes, and again, I don't know if they're experiencing any bugs, but there are bug fixes that are included, in those 2 to 3 releases between what they have today and what 9.3.5 is.
Okay. A couple of questions have come in. We even spoke about this at one point, Jeff, but the thumbnails, if you recall, people have been getting issues with the images displaying on thumbnails. Can you talk more to that in particular? Let's see, CMYK mode produced JPEGs, for example.
Certainly depending upon what version of Agile you're dealing with, thumbnails have been kind of a temperamental thing. They have gotten better as time goes on and more reliable. Depending upon what you're intending on using your thumbnails for, of course, there's the standard on search results, on your title block, things of that nature that thumbnails are, can be displayed automatically. But the thumbnail generator, it uses the standard technology that's there. They've made improvements on it. I guess I don't really know where to go other than the fact that it has improved over the course of the various releases from when it was first introduced. I don't know really what specifically this individual is asking about that.
Okay. Let's see. We had a few more come in. Let's see. So
I'm seeing something here, Jared, relative to, can you go directly from 9.3.3 to 9.3.5? There is, the typical Agile upgrade path is that, yes, you can, but you do an intermediate step through the upgrade process at 9.3.4. So it's something that you don't see. You would still move forward with 9.3.5, but the upgrade process is that we, as your systems implementer or integrator, would go ahead and move it, would upgrade you to 9.3.4 without you even knowing about it, and then upgrade to 9.3.5. So the path takes you through 9.3.4, but you don't have anything to do with 9.3.4.
Okay. They're not going through the expense then of 9.3.4, correct?
No. You're deploying 9.3.5, and the expense is, if you're current on your support and maintenance, the software is free. I say free. You paid for it over the course of time of software maintenance and stuff. But the cost that you would be associated would be the upgrade costs of a domain systems coming in and performing that upgrade for you.
Okay.
And any hardware, if you're going to upgrade your hardware in addition to that, that kind of thing, right?
Right.
But the actual application, itself, you do not pay if you are current on support and maintenance with Oracle. You do not pay for Agile 9.3.5 software.
Is there an integration between Mentor Graphics Board Designer to import parts and bill of materials with reference to DES in Agile? Or, pardon me, I believe that was design, right?
Design objects. So Yes, you can use the DX Dataworks and those ECAD solutions. We typically recommend there is the ECAD connector that is out there that can be utilized in conjunction with Agile, and I would suggest that some conversation be had in detail about that.
Regarding, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, sorry. Go ahead, Jared.
Regarding PXs, are there any enhancements that people will notice from them?
It depends upon what the PX is doing, right? I mean,
right.
The large portion of the schema changes here were in regards to the change orders because of the new tab that can be identified for affected files, as well as PPM schema, as well as design schema. There may be other schema changes that are there, but each process extension needs to be evaluated on its own merits and tested when you upgrade.
Okay, sure.
I'm seeing a question here relative to what browsers and versions are supported. Mm-hmm. From a browser perspective, Firefox ESR 38 and 32 on Windows is supported, Safari 8 and 7 on Mac, and Internet 11 and 10 on Windows. Chrome 46 and 47 on Windows. So those are your browsers that are supported.
Okay. In 9.3.3, this person has Tomcat. Can they still use that in 9.3.5?
Yes.
Okay. I know I missed a couple of questions back there. How are we doing on
the question of, is there still Agile Express that creates PDX files? Yes, Agile, you still are able to create PDX files, and Agile Express reads that.
Okay. I think that was actually it. Let's read it on the questions.
Okay. Any last-minute questions?
Can they use WebLogic instead of Tomcat?
No, WebLogic and Tomcat are two different things. So, no.
Okay. How intense is the validation effort to upgrade from 9.3.3 to 9.3.5 for a med dev company?
Depends upon which modules. If it's primarily product collaboration, you would need to evaluate, and I'm assuming that being a medical device company, you have a SDLC that dictates what needs to be checked and validated as part of an upgrade process. So that's depending, every company is going to be different on that.
Okay. They followed up also asking why to use two servers. WebLogic and Tomcat are not two different things, but both are.
One is geared towards the file manager, and the other one is geared towards the application. So
okay.
That's the reason.
I hope that answers that. Sorry.
So the browsers, yes, I'll repeat those. Firefox ESR 38 and 32 on Windows, Safari 8 and 7 on Mac, Internet Explorer 10 and 11 on Windows, and then Chrome 46 and 37 on Windows.
One going back here a little ways. Can I use the cloud for Agile 9.3.2?
Okay, so now there's sorry, I'm going back to that web page that somebody wanted to see. Hold on, right here. One more. So come on. There we go. There we go. Okay. So cloud for 9.3.2. The cloud offering is independent of the Agile versioning that we're talking about. The pure cloud offering is R11, and we don't know what the release of R11 is going to be, Again, through the grapevine, I've heard March, but I can't swear to that. So the cloud offering for Agile is, again, very limited in its footprint from the standpoint of item management and change management. If you're doing anything beyond that, the cloud will not support it. So we need to make sure that it's clear on what the cloud offering can offer you versus what the on-premise or hosted version of Agile can provide you.
Apologize, I was going on muted. Can you go back to the Agile Explorer slide? Do you recall that one?
Yes.
Okay, just wondering if this person wanted to know if it was included with the new upgrade.
It is deployed with 3.4.
Okay. And we'll do just one more question here. We're about out of time. We have Oracle Content Server, UCM, for file management. This product is very good, so why use another file manager?
Read that again, sorry. I'm trying to digest the question.
We have Oracle Content Server for their file management system, or for their file management. This product they think is really good, so why use a different file manager?
I guess my question, this would be a peel back the onion question. So my initial question is are you an Agile user, number one, and are you currently using UCM or Oracle Content Server with Agile currently? And if that's the case, then sure, go ahead and continue to use it. As long as it can communicate back and forth with Agile, you're just fine.
Okay.
Again, everybody's architecture is going to be different. All right, so that's fine and dandy if you're using something different than what is shipped with the product. Feel free to continue to use it. The viability of this release working with that solution would need to be tested. That's all I can say. It's not standard in the Oracle capacity planning for Oracle Agile 9.3.5.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jeff, and thanks everyone for your questions. I'll be sending each person that attended a link to a copy of the recording of the webinar. And if you have any further questions, please email them to jared.pettit@domainsi.com, and I'll see that they're answered as soon as possible. Thank you, everyone.